Good morning, everyone. Welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and welcome to a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Tuesday, February 3rd, 2004. The City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Meetings are open to the public, and we do invite you to join us. For members of the public unable to attend council meetings, we can be viewed live on your cable station, Channel 35. We can also be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage or heard via council phone. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Labange, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Weisstein, Padilla, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The council is officially in session, and this being Tuesday, the first meeting of the week, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Reyes to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise. Put your right hand over your heart for this great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Reyes, I believe you have a presentation scheduled for this morning. You'll let us know when you're ready. Madam Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Smith moves and Ms. Gruel seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Ms. Miskowski moves and Mr. Garcetti seconds.
Mr. President, this is now the time for comments from the public on items not on council's agenda.
And members, I do not have requests from members of the public to speak under general public comment. Public comment for today's meeting is closed. Next item, please.
Mr. President, there's a request to continue item number 47 by Mr. Parks, and that would be to Friday, February 6th.
Members request to continue item number 47 to this Friday. Without objection, item 47 is continued. And before proceeding to the next item on the agenda, let me recognize Councilmember Reyes for a presentation.
Mr. Reyes is going to be joined by our Council President, Councilmember Padilla.
Good morning. Buenos dias, everybody. Be joined by our Council President, Alex Padilla. As soon as everyone settles down.
Forget him.
Okay. Colleagues, it's with great pleasure I'd like to introduce to you our new owners of Los Angeles Dodgers, Frank and Jamie McCord. Let's give them a round of applause, folks. You know, colleagues, the first time I had the honor of meeting the McCords, I was privileged to learn about a great family who spoke of this great American dream, of how the grandparents were able to come over to the United States and actually be that entity that literally paved the roads in Boston. And as that family grew and the wherewithal and influence expanded, they became true citizens of this great country. And for me, it struck a chord because I truly believe Los Angeles is a city of immigrants. It's a city of the future. It's a great metropolis. And to have ownership that's family-based will bring back that sense of community, that sense of family that has allowed the Dodgers to rise to the levels it has risen in the past as a championship team. And to see this commitment is heartwarming, and to see the genuine interest, not only in the Dodgers as an organization, but as Dodgers within a city family, is encouraging. And not only did he speak of, and we talked about Echo Park, Solano Canyon, Chinatown, Cypress Park, Lincoln Heights, Elysian Valley. We talked about the city of Los Angeles as a whole, and we talked about the region. And so their spirit and their attitude was inspiring. I know it's been a long road for the McCourt family to get here, but you are here now. And that makes you Angelenos, part of the Los Angeles family. I'm sure you know that Los Angeles has a great history that dates back well over 200 years to when we were first founded back in 1781. And geographically, Dodger Park, Elysian Park, sits adjacent to the Zanja Madre. This was the canal that brought nourishment, that brought life to the city from the Los Angeles River. And for it to be towering overhead within our origins of our own city is truly symbolic. And for them to bring back and nurture this great organization is something to behold. Of course, the pressures are on. People are rooting for Nomar Garcia Parra from Boston. And he is homegrown, Latino. And wouldn't it be great to have Fernando Mania all over again? Or to have Chan Ho Park all over again? These are great times. The great spirit, the cheering, the enthusiasm of the park are memories that we have grown up with. So it's exciting to see the McCourt family with us today. And I'd like to invite our Council President, Alex Padilla, to share a few words, and then we'll provide a certificate for the McCourts. Councilman Padilla.
Thank you, Councilmember Reyes, for giving me the opportunity and for your leadership in bringing the McCourts, the newest Angelenos, to City Council for a very warm reception and recognition. We've also had an opportunity to meet, and colleagues, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, my first words, this is getting ready for a chapter in my memoirs. My first words to you were, you have something very, very precious in your hands now. You own the Los Angeles Dodgers. And when I say it's very precious, it's not just a business investment, as you have told us, but the Dodgers' reputation, the Dodger image, the ingrained history of the Dodgers with our city of Los Angeles is something we are very, very proud of. And it's no surprise that despite the ups and downs and the wins and the losses from year to year, you still have more than 3 million fans walking through those turnstiles year in and year out. This is Los Angeles, and we love the Dodgers. The other thing, colleagues, this I think is confirming that conspiracy theory of the great Boston takeover. Just over a year ago, we had a new chief of police sworn in, originally from Boston. Now the Los Angeles Dodgers are owned by a family from Boston, and we're just starting to watch to see what else is next. But as someone who actually lived near Boston, I can point to a couple of comparisons. You know, when in Fenway Park, when a home run is hit over that green monster in left field, you see that Sit Go sign and the city skyline in the back there. When we sit in Dodger Stadium and see those home runs go over the wall, we look and see the beauty and the majesty of the San Gabriel Mountains, and there's just nothing like it. And so you're going to get a chance to really, really enjoy that and appreciate that along with the rest of the fans. And as someone who has had both a Fenway Frank and a Dodger dog, let me just tell you, there's no comparison. Dodger dogs all the way. There's a lot. We're expecting some great things from the team this year and every year, and we just want to welcome you and say thank you.
Mr. Padilla, a number of other council members would like to give their greetings. Let me call first Councilmember Zine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. McCourt, welcome to Los Angeles. I come from that far San Fernando Valley where we travel down to Dodger Stadium to view the activities, and many wonderful activities have taken place at Dodger Stadium over the years. I know that your interest in this city and your interest in this team to make it the star team that it once was. And we've seen the glamour, shall we say, dull over the past few years, but we know we can bring it back. We know that we have that ability to bring it back. And I want to let you know that the constituents in my district in the Southwest San Fernando Valley have emailed me their support for you and what you're bringing about with the change in the Dodger organization. and we just hope for wonderful opportunities for you, your family here in Los Angeles. It's good to have an owner who's there, who's watching, who's mentoring, who's making sure they make that mark, which benefits all of us in the city of Los Angeles. I know that Sorrell & Associates was involved in this process to bring this about. I want to congratulate them also for their activities with it. But you and your family are welcome here in the city of Los Angeles. It's going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to turn this team around. We don't have a football team, and I know Councilman Parks went back to try and bring them back. And now we have a wonderful operation in place that will spin off into great things for the Dodgers, the Dodger organization, the people of Los Angeles, because we are a city of the angels, and we have angels in this city, and you are among the angels who have now welcomed us or brought it to the city of Los Angeles, that opportunity. The Dodgers came from the east, now they're in the west. You came from the east, now you're in the west. We wish you the best with our beautiful climate, with our wonderful people here in Los Angeles. Welcome, both of you, to the beautiful city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Mr.
Zine, are we cheered? We're City of Angels, but we're cheered for the Dodgers, right?
That's true. That's true. And Marshall High, you'll hear, Mr. McCoy, you'll hear about Marshall High many times. Many times. Thank you.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and welcome, McCourts, to Los Angeles. It's wonderful to have you both here today. Congratulations on the ownership. I think many of us have looked forward to this for a long time. Even though Dodger Stadium is in Councilmember Reyes' district, I think I can say I live the closest to Dodger Stadium, about a 5-minute walk, and I walk in the park every single morning. And it is really a hallowed place. As a fourth-generation Angelino, you know, it's something that I grew up with, something that my father, my grandfather grew up with. And, you know, back in the day when we had a team that we were all very proud of, I think we're all very eager right now to get it back to that. I always say that folks who move to Los Angeles, if you make it over the 18-month hump, become Angelinos. So today we'll bestow you the honor of honorary Angelinos, and 18 months from now, because I know you'll still be here, with this incredible organization with folks like Derek Hall and others who really, for the community around Dodger Stadium, have made it a place that we call home as well, that you will be truly full Angelinos and we'll have a winning team. So congratulations, and thank you for being here today.
Councilmember Grewal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to add my congratulations and welcome to Los Angeles. I have, believe it or not, a bonnet from when I was 4 years old, a Dodger bonnet. My husband's upset that I keep these things from when I was 4 years old, but Dodger Stadium and the Dodgers mean a lot to us, and you'll hear today from so many of my colleagues that it's like our home away from home, that we have the best fans in the world. We have a stadium that everyone looks forward to being there, to a winning season, and we look forward to you being part of our LA family. It's a great place to be on a day like today when it's clear and beautiful and warm. In comparison to the East Coast, you understand the magic that we have in Los Angeles and the magic we feel in the Dodgers. So I want to compliment Ed's been the biggest cheerleader here on our council and making sure that we supported you coming here, and we appreciate that and appreciate that you will come visit us more often, that you'll ask us for assistance, that we'll work together to make the Dodgers the best team. We've worked very well with Derek here. He's been a great supporter, and just thank you for your leadership and willingness to invest in our city. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Councilmember Hahn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, I too rise and say welcome to Los Angeles, to Frank and Jamie McCourt. And we're very thrilled. And, you know, there's always been a love affair, certainly with Los Angeles and its Dodgers. And, you know, many of us remember the days when it was sort of family-owned. Well, I'm here to say today that I've met 2 of your 4 sons, and it really does feel like a family again has come to own the Dodgers. And for that, we are very grateful. I was with you on Saturday and was extremely thrilled to watch both of you interact with kids at the Alton Sutton playground, where my brother and I both grew up and played baseball as kids. So it was really fun to watch you, and you stayed, Frank and Jamie, way past, I think, where your schedulers wanted you to stay, and you were throwing the balls with the kids and doing a little workout with them, and that will mean the most to those kids forever. and the girls that were there that were learning to play ball. To have you spend that kind of time on a Saturday morning with kids in the community makes a huge difference and makes that connection back from the Dodgers to the community that we think really will grow up another generation of fans that will be loyal to the end. And as I told your sons, of course, I beat all of you guys in the relationship with the Dodgers, but all of you. My father was one of those who actually brought the LA Dodgers here to Los Angeles. I remember the Dodgers when they played in the Coliseum, so I really go way back. And as I told your sons, my dad brought the Dodgers here, but I think their dad, you, will bring the Dodgers back to the World Championship where they belong. So welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you. Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. and Mrs. McCourt, it's an honor to welcome you here to the chamber of the LA City Council and to welcome you to Los Angeles. It was nice having the chance to talk with you out there in the hall and to let both of you know how sick and tired I am of sitting there in the stands at Dodger Stadium in September watching yet another year's hopes and dreams go down the drain. And you have committed to me that I am not going to feel that way at Dodger Stadium this September, and I want to thank you in advance. I'm going to hold you to that because it's been an awfully long time since we've had October really mean something here in Los Angeles, and we're counting on you and your organization to help turn this organization around. You know, the Dodgers are much more than a team. They're much more than an institution. I mean, they're just an indelible part of our civic culture here, and they have this way of connecting with kids throughout Southern California, kids from all walks of life, all ethnic backgrounds, all different parts of the community, and getting this extraordinarily strong bond and attachment with kids that follows them throughout their whole life. I know that because I was one of those kids. And I want you to see a photograph I brought with me today to Council Chamber. This is my son, Jacob, in his first year in Little League. And Jacob's very first year in Little League, he had the extraordinary opportunity to be a Dodger. And I can't tell you that special look on his face when he got to put on a Dodger uniform. Now, we've since gone through a year of putting on Yankee uniforms. This year, he's got to put on a Braves uniform. So life isn't perfect. But I remember that feeling when I was in Little League. I played on the Mets and the Cardinals. The coolest kids got to play on the Dodgers. So I just want you to know that you don't just have a company, you don't just own real estate, you don't just own a professional sports franchise, you own a special piece of the heart and soul of thousands, millions of little kids throughout Southern California, and they are also counting on you, and I know you won't let them down. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. I'm sitting here thinking most kids in this country just think of growing up and playing for a team, and here you are buying our team. I just wanted to say thank you very much for dreaming big, and thank you very much for investing in our team here in Los Angeles. And I want to thank you ahead of time for bringing the World Series back to Los Angeles and bringing the championship back to Los Angeles, because I know during your tenure of owning this team, we're going to see that happen. I had the fortune of meeting you the other day here in these chambers, and in addition to that, I've seen some of the interviews on TV, and when I look into your eyes, I can see that you're enthusiastic, you've got a commitment, and you really want to make it happen. So welcome to Los Angeles. We're excited about you. I know that you're excited about being here and being part of this wonderful organization. But I want to thank you in advance for bringing the World Series to Los Angeles and to bringing the championship back. Thank you so much.
And now you'll hear from our quiet Councilmember Labange.
Thank you, Madam President. To the McCourt family, welcome to Los Angeles. There's so much history involved with sport and athletics, and it's very important. And as Ms. Hahn spoke so eloquently about her father's role in bringing the Dodgers west from New York City, just last year, I was in New York City and went to Brooklyn and went to Ebbets Field and which is a big housing project. As if you can imagine, members, it's Park La Brea almost all squashed into one in a very large building, and the change that took place there. But the Dodgers came west, and the great history in the Dodgers from Jackie Robinson and his advancement as the first man who wasn't white to play in the National Leagues, which is so important to break the color line, and all that history and deep involvement with the community that's been hallmark with the O'Malley family, the great staff that you have now in the community, some tremendous people who work there, and Tommy Lasorda, who is absolutely, you're very kind to say nice things about me, Cindy, and others, but Tommy Lasorda is the greatest ambassador to this city that anyone would ever have, after being one of the greatest coaches of all time. And what I love, Jack, when we talk about our history with the Dodgers and growing up, I love remembering my days of youth when Willie Davis was the fastest and best player in center field, who went to Roosevelt High School and still holds the city long jump record, and Tommy Davis in left field, and Frank Howard in right, and Jim Gilliam at third base, and Charlie Neal at second, and Maury Will stealing 104 bases, and Ron Fairley at first, and Johnny Roseborough catching. And you either had Koufax or you had Drysdale and Norm Sherry. And all those players, there's such great history. But then there's other generations that we hope will find that love of sport. I just want to welcome you here. I want to let you know anything that you need. My number's 485-3337. Or as Mayor Hahn would say, one call to City Hall, 311. All of us want to help you be successful, because it's a wonderful family experience. I have a 5-year-old son. Where's Jack? I didn't frame mine. I carry mine. There's my son. There's my son Charles on the field at Dodger Stadium. I carry mine, and he's a left-handed hitter, and he's excited about the game, and he loves to be a Dodger, you know. So, and the first ball that I did throw out was caught by the great Janice Hahn.
And it was high and outside.
And she's that good. But I want to welcome you to it, and it's great. Have a lot of fun. This is a giant investment. A giant investment. We couldn't even believe in that investment. But not a giant. That's the Rhodes Scholar, Eric Garcetti. No, it's a Dodger investment. It's a heavenly investment. Heavenly investment. No, that's not. That's the wrong thing. Thank you, Eric. You threw a curve at me, Eric. Good luck to you. Have fun. And remember what they said last night as we were together, Frank, at the movie. Again. Bring it back again. Again and again. Work hard, as those players are. And every game, the one thing about baseball, members, and I'll close with this, because we were 2 games out this year, right, Derek? 2 games out. Every game counts. And that's also some of our philosophy. Every day we serve as public servants counts to make a difference. Because when the Dodgers, if they win every game in April, it helps them in September. And that's what we want. God bless the McCord family for coming to Los Angeles. Thank you very much. God bless Ed Reyes for his leadership in Alegiant Park and the great Dodger Stadium. And God bless Alex Padilla, who I like to introduce, is the only guy from San Fernando High who threw a no-hitter against Taft. But that's not true, but I still say it. Thank
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, council colleagues. I look forward to welcoming them back to City Chambers when they bring back that championship, to the true City of Angels, not that other town down the road, but our own City of Angels. So with that, I'd like to invite the McCourts for a few words, and from the bottom of our hearts, with all sincerity, welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Councilmember Reyes, and all the other members of the council, thank you for that incredibly warm welcome that you just gave Jamie and I and our family. I'd just like to share with you 2 or 3 personal sentiments right now. The first is of deep gratitude for being welcomed so warmly into this community. I cannot tell you how much that means to me, to Jamie, and our 4 boys. This is an adventure, and it is so much easier with this welcoming. Thank you very much for that. Humility. I am truly humbled by this entire experience. And several times, the word new owner of the Dodgers has been bandied about. I want you to know that we view this as we are the new stewards of the Dodgers. We're not the owners of the Dodgers. This is the beginning of our stewardship. These are not the McCourt Dodgers. These are the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I just want you to know that we fully understand that and all that's attendant to that. We're excited. We're very, very excited. Family ownership is back with the Dodgers, and you all know what that means. There's now a heart, there's a soul, there's a sense of responsibility, and there's going to be involvement. And this is just the beginning of our involvement with this community. And we're going to meet as many people as we can. It's just a pleasure to get to know all of you. Sure, we're going to bring a championship back to Los Angeles. We are. But we're going to be deeply involved every day in this community. This is a civic treasure. We understand that. We're humbled to be stewards of the Dodgers. Thank you very, very much. Jane?
Hi there. I just wanted to echo my husband's sentiments with the warmth and vitality and hospitality that we've been offered since we've come to LA from purchasing the Dodgers. We're well aware of how important the Dodgers are to Los Angeles since they arrived here in 1958. And we look forward to placing even a greater emphasis on community involvement, civic leadership, bringing a greater emphasis to the Dodger Fields, the Dodger Dream Foundation, educational issues, recreational issues, and all that's important to everyone here. We look forward to working with all of you. We really understand how important the fans are, the players are, the staff is, and the history of the Dodgers. And by the way, I'm a numbers geek, so 485-3337. Forever. We're ecstatic to be here, and we hope you know how much we can't wait to be here and make Los Angeles a better place to live, work, and play. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, colleagues.
Our photographer here. We're going to take a brief recess for a picture of the council.
Thank you again, Mr. Reyes. Colleagues, if I can call our meeting back to order, we do have an agenda to consider today. If I can ask everybody to come back to order for our council meeting. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing. It's an ordinance, King Council District 1, a street lighting ordinance.
Okay. Members, item number 1 is now before us, and I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on this item. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. Members wishing to call item number 1 special? Seeing none, let's open the roll on item number 1. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Items 2 through 7 are also public hearing items. They are street lighting districts, and council should open the hearings and continue the hearings and ordinances to February 20th.
Okay, members, items 2 through 7 now before us. And again, I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on these items. Public hearings are open, and unless there's an objection, these matters are continued to February 20th. Ms. Han. Item 6? Okay. With the exception of item number 6, Ms. Han, we're opening the hearing and continuing these matters to February 20th. Did you desire more time? Okay. Then item 6 is going along with the rest of them. 2 through 7, hearings open and continued to the 20th. Next item, please.
Items 8 through 12 are also public hearing items, street lighting districts, and council should open the hearings and continue those to February 24th.
Members, items 8 through 12 now before us. Again, I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on these items. Public hearings are opened, and unless there's an objection, continued through February 24th. Next item, please.
Items for which public hearings have been held, items 13 through 30. Items 13 and 14 are confirmations of city officials. Do you wish to hold those on the desk for a moment?
Let's hold 13 and 14 on the desk. Leaving items 15 through 30 currently before us. I do not have requests from members of the public. Actually, these items have had public hearings, so a motion from the floor would be required to reopen the public hearings. Ms. Gruhl?
Yes, on item number 30, I just want to amend item number 2 on 30, just to note and file it. We'll be coming back with a bigger issue relative to the contract, so I just make that amendment to just
Okay.
note and file number 2 on item 30.
Okay, without objection, we'll consider item 30 as amended. Mr. Parks?
A special 27.
27 call special by Mr. Parks. Any other specials? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, on items 15 through 30, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Those are approved, including item 30 as amended.
Mr.
Mr. Weiss? Forthwith on 23. Mr. LaBonge?
I'm sorry, I missed number 28. I'd like to talk about 28 if we could.
28?
28.
Okay, we have a motion to reconsider on item 28. Let's open the roll on reconsideration. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, 28 is back before us and called special by Mr. LaBonge. Next item, please.
Items for which public hearings have not been held, items 31 through 51. 10 votes are required for consideration.
31 through 51, without objection, are before the City Council at this time. Item 47 has been continued to this Friday. We do have cards on items 43 and 44. We'll call those matters special. On the balance of the items, I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council. Public hearings are opened and closed. Members wishing to call any specials? Items 31 through 51. Any other specials? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item, please.
On the supplemental agenda, item number 52 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay, public hearing having been held, a motion from the floor would be required to reopen the public hearing. Members wishing to call item 52 special? Seeing none, let's open the roll on item 52. Let's close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That is approved. Ms. Mizikowski?
Mr. President, I would like to ask for reconsideration, if we can, of item 22 from Friday's calendar. We did have 11 votes for it, but it was an ordinance first consideration. If we ask for reconsideration today, we can bring it back on and adopt it and not wait a week. So my motion is to reconsider item 22.
And Mr. President, that's Council File 030307, and it's amending LAMC Section 6641.
Okay, members, we have a motion for reconsideration Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 eyes.
That's item 22 from last Friday's agenda, now back before us. Unless there's further discussion, let's reopen the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 eyes.
That ordinance is approved. Forthwith, please. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 13 is confirmation of Mr. Frederick Jackson to the South LA Area Planning Commission.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, please come forward at this time. And colleagues, we do have a committee report recommending approval of Mr. Jackson to this position. Do we have members wishing to be heard? If not, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 eyes.
Congratulations, and thank you for serving the city. Forthwith, please, on item 13.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item number 14 is confirmation of Mr. John Muckery to the Rec and Parks as General Manager and establishment of salary. Committee report has been submitted to the council member recommending approval.
Mr. Muckery,
Yes, sir.
how you doing?
Fine, sir.
So, colleagues, public hearing on this item was held earlier today in committee, and I believe we have a committee report being circulated recommending approval. This is an opportunity for members to be heard at the full council on this item. Let me begin with the chair of the committee, Mr. Labange.
When Mr. Padilla and I had Mr. Muckery in our committee this morning, it was a long committee meeting. We had very important topics to discuss, from the zoo to hate crimes to other issues with our Department of Aging and the Department of Disability. But then your appointment came up, John, and what I liked about it is the fight in you. The fight in you that you want to lead this department that unfortunately has had a series of general managers over a period of time. Lead this fight to try to use resources and be able to accomplish the goal of serving the public. Next to our police and fire department, which maintains our community safety, our parks are the people's lands and how you want to protect that. And the fact that you have a local connection, a local history. May I welcome your mother here? Please welcome Mrs. Muckery here to council chambers here. And Mr. President has stated their first home that his father and his mother had was in your district, long before you were born, Alex, but in your district in Pacoima many, many years ago. John, give us a little brief on your background and articulate your passion and how you're going to be resourceful, but how you're going to be honest with us, because we members have to work harder in 2004 to deliver more. And John, if you would, please.
Thank you, Tom. I don't know where the greater expectations lie today between the Dodgers and Rec and Parks. It's quite fortuitous we both came at the same day. Before I get into my goals and objectives for the new department, I want to thank the members of the department I'm leaving. The Department of General Services was just a dream department to be a part of. From the newest employee to the most senior executive there, I want to say thank you. But more importantly, I want to thank three people that got me out of trouble many times: Laura, Cece, and of course Beverly Stinson. I want to thank you. My goal taking over the leadership role of Department of Recreation and Parks is very simple. I've talked to many of the people there. They're all committed to making that department the best, not only in the city, but the nation. So my goal, working with them, working with the senior executive leadership from the local unions, is to accomplish that very well. I have to admit, though, I'm a little concerned. Since 1995, when I came to the city, I think there's been 8 general managers. We have to put a commitment there for strong leadership and a strategic vision in the future. I am committed to stay here as long as you want me to serve. And I want to thank the mayor, I want to thank the council for showing me the trust and confidence they have in that ability. Budget crisis. We are facing too many budget crises in the city, but we cannot overlook the importance that the Department of Recreation and Parks plays to every citizen in the city. From birth until the aged, the department is there to serve. There has been a change in the family structure in the last 50 years, and I think the department and the city has got to grow and change to accommodate that. People are living longer. There are more single families. There are more working parents. The Department of Recreation and Parks has got to be there to meet their needs day in and day out. Currently, the department has 22, 23% vacancies. I'm going to come to the council, I'm going to come to committee, I'm going to come to the mayor's office with positions I need filled now, and I need your support. I understand in the big scheme we are all in this budget crisis together, but I want to be part of this department, leading it in the future, and my commitment to the women and men of the department is I am going to be there for you day in and day out. I have no other desire but to be a member of your team. Thank you.
Mr. President, anyway, our committee was unanimous. John Muckery has a great service. His career, his resumes should be within your portfolios today. I like the fact he went to Loyola University in West Los Angeles, and he came back to the city after a long career with the Navy and other entities as well. His passion is there for the job, and I think his ability, and this was very important, his ability. Julie Butcher was there in the meeting today. She filled out a public comment card and spoke of how he has the skills to work the system correctly, to work the systems so that we accomplish the goal for the public of delivering for the public, as he has with our General Services Department. And now he takes the role as keeper of the public lands. And as he's so well articulated, from birth to the aged, all participate in our public parks. All need that open space, that community building, that gymnasium, that clean and well-attended field or playground. So, John, I'm just proud to stand up for you and let you know we're going to count on John Muckery, who's going to work hard for us, but also work us hard so that we find a way to help the Parks Department of Los Angeles return to its stature as the greatest Recreation and Parks Department in the United States. Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for an aye vote for John Muckery.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. John, you know I support you in this endeavor. Why you do it, I don't know. A glutton for punishment. And your mom, I'm sure, is so pleased and proud to see that you're here this morning. Why don't you join John up at the table? You know, I think that'd be appropriate because often we don't get the chance to bring our parents in to these celebrated occasions. And John's been the general manager of General Services. He's seen us from the September 11th, the disaster that took place in this country, and what he did to fortify security and all the departments that General Services are responsible for over the years. John, we have had many discussions on personnel issues. When I was on General Services, many discussions on that particular function. I know that your crew standing there behind you, Tony's sitting there looking, saying, I'm going to lose my good buddy, John Muckery, who's been there. It's going to be a good assignment for you, and I know from your military career, you enjoy those challenges, and you take those challenges, and you complete those challenges with great success and great enthusiasm. So I want to commend you and congratulate you and thank you for what you've done in General Services. And I know that you'll do that same wonderful work in Recs and Parks. And obviously, it's a necessity that we need to have those for our people of the city of Los Angeles. And we've got everything from the humongous Griffith Park at Tom Labange's district to the great Amundsen Park in my district, that two huge parks in the city of Los Angeles and all the other parks that we have throughout this region. So congratulations to you, and I just think it's a wonderful opportunity for your mom to see you today, be congratulated, because she didn't know where you were going to go after birth. She didn't know what you were going to do in your life, and obviously it's been a very successful life. So congratulations to you, your mom, for raising a child who's now a man who's done great things for this country as a military veteran, and also your commitment and your career here with the city of Los Angeles. So I want to congratulate you and wish you well in that endeavor. Congratulations, John.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Congratulations. We're taking on a big, big task in a city that's so underserved with our park space. So I look forward to working with you and how we look at this culture that we have in our departments and how we start leveraging what's out there. The Army Corps of Engineers has stepped up in a big way, the county, the state. Our ability is to work as that quarterback that sends the right signal so that we can create the park spaces along the river to address the needs of our communities as economic development tools so that open space can become an asset, which I believe will lessen a lot of the pressures we have that result in the gang cultures, the addictions, and everything that hurts our young people and our families. And we have a role to fulfill, and I pledge to you, I'll work with you on that. We've taken on some big tasks, but truly to be able to see you as that steward and changing that culture in the department is going to be key. You know, there was a time when we came into the district, MacArthur Park was viewed as a maintenance yard in an area that has no park space, in an area where there's over 35,000 people per square mile. For some reason, the department back then deemed it okay to use that as a maintenance yard. That made no sense. We need to change that mindset. We need to embrace the people, and I'm there to work with you, with my colleagues through the LA River Committee, and we continue forward. And I just want to thank you for your hard work and looking forward to some positive changes. Thank you very much.
Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. I just want to ask you a couple of questions, John. And also, I see you brought your probably the best person you could bring to make sure that you're staying honest, because nobody would say anything untruthful in front of their mom, right?
Well, maybe she should answer for me.
I think she'd say he's a good boy. No. Oh, no?
We've had our moments.
Okay, John, I'll direct the questions to you then. I'll be nice. Well, one of the things that I'm concerned with is, you mentioned very accurately that we have budget crises at every level of government right now. But at the same time, I wanted to ask you two basic questions. First of all, are you committed to working with us in the Valley to identify the park poor areas? See, because people think of the San Fernando Valley and they think of this wide open space. I think they're thinking maybe 50 years ago, but today it isn't a wide open space. We have a lot of constituents, and we have some of the more park poor areas in the entire city right there in the San Fernando Valley. Are you ready to work with us to try to get that agenda moving?
The simple answer is yes, but you need to know I live in the Valley. My parents, Tom and Bonge told you they actually built their first house in the Valley. So yes, I am committed to the Valley.
Thank you very much. And then secondly, speaking of budget crises, there is actually a silver lining sitting there that hopefully that Sacramento will continue to provide that funding. We Angelenos and the state of California as a whole passed a park bond, and that money has yet to be delivered, and that money is sitting there in Sacramento, yet it takes work from us here at the city level to make sure we go up there and get our fair share. Are you ready to work with us? I have a little bit of experience up there. I happen to know some people very close to those issues, and I stay in constant contact with them so that we as Angelenos, certainly in the San Fernando Valley, can take advantage of that opportunity and get our fair share of those dollars. Are you ready to work on that? Are you ready to work on a plan with us to make sure we get our fair share from Sacramento?
Yeah, let's get going now.
Because the one thing that the public doesn't realize, they have a crisis in Sacramento. You can read about it every single day. But at the same time, that bond money is separate and apart from the general fund. It's something that hopefully, after this March election cycle, because there's some bonds on the ballot right now, hopefully it will not interfere with that, and we can move forward to make sure that we get those precious dollars to make sure that we increase our park space and then we increase the services to our Angelenos. So thank you very much for agreeing to that commitment on the record before all of us Angelenos today. Thank you, John.
Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. I think John was a little worried what questions I would ask today. But
That's why I
so
said,
pleased
uh-oh.
and glad that Dennis brought your mom up. I was also going to recognize, because our parents are very important to us and have an impact on how we develop and what we accomplish. And so you should be very proud of your son today. I share in talking, so many of my colleagues have talked about the importance, and you did, John, about recreation and parks. And the one thing that I was impressed in the mayor selection was the fact that you're a good manager. And oftentimes we have people who have a good heart but can't manage, and I think you have shown in the Department of General Services and the relationships you have with people like Julie Butcher and the unions, and the importance of working together, because our parks are critical from the age of birth to when we are elderly and like to sit and enjoy that park atmosphere. Some of the services, some of the after-school programs are the only programs our kids know about. And we have found that these parks are critical to the neighborhoods, that we need to have more parks. We need to be able to, if we can, look at some of the bond measures in the state and purchase more park land. And we're looking to you to show that leadership in our parks, to also make sure they're managed appropriately, and to see us as your partners in that area. The kinds of concerns I've had in the past is we're the last to know when there's a problem in these parks, when we could be of assistance, and asking for other departments to come to bear. And I know that in one instance in my district, you were ready as a general manager, general services, to come in and potentially do a parking lot, that instead of taking as many, I think it probably took almost a year to do this parking lot, and you were there ready to do it in a much quicker fashion. So I think that we'll look to you as well to see how we leverage our other departments, how we also go to the private sector as well. We look at, the Kirk and Ann Douglas, and what they have done, and their relationship with the city of Los Angeles for some of those playgrounds. And the private sector would like to be able to support oftentimes our municipalities, but want to know that their money's being spent well, managed well, and I think that you're going to demonstrate that if they want to contribute, it's going to be something they're proud of, and they're going to be able to maintain. So we look forward to you being a part of our Rec and Parks family, as you were in General Services, and to let us know when we can be helpful, to let us know if there is a problem, because we do care about it, and I know you won't be shy about doing that. So we're very pleased that you're going to be head of Recreation and Parks. I know that the staff I met last week at a library opening, a gentleman came up to me who was part of the Recreation and Parks department. This is where a library actually looks out to a park there in our Van Nuys area. And he came up to me and he said, we're really excited about John Muckery as our new general manager, because he's one of us. He's demonstrated that he cares about the city. And so you have, I think, a feeling at the lowest levels and highest of levels in Rec and Parks that you're going to be a great asset. And I know the people who are from General Services are going to miss you over there, but you'll just be either down a few flights or in a building next door. So congratulations. We all think you're a little bit crazy to want to do this, but appreciate that your willingness to serve the city. Thanks, John.
Mr. Dudlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to rise in support of this appointment. And again, this morning, John, you were in our Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committee, and people there obviously just raved about your service to LA. I, for one, as a former deputy director of the LA Conservation Corps, have held our park system very near and dear. And we got a lot of challenges, as everyone here has indicated. But what really impressed me this morning is that you looked 3 council members in the eye and said, you're going to be banging down our doors for help, that you can't do this without making parks a priority from the council level. And so you have my commitment. You had the commitment of our committee this morning. We're so honored to have your mother here. And we know that you applied for this job about 3 years ago. And you literally had your arm twisted behind your back. And there's something about duty and something about service that resonates in my mind as I think about this appointment. This is not anything that you sought out. This is nothing that you were looking to do. The mayor of this city asked you if you would serve this city in this new capacity, and you heeded that call to service. And so on behalf of the 240-some-odd thousand constituents in my district, thank you for answering the call. I support your nomination wholeheartedly, and good luck, and knock on my door hard. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Mr. Villaraigosa.
Yes, John, in the 6-7 months that I've been on the council, I can tell you there have been few general managers that have been as responsive as you have to me, my constituents, and our staff. And the idea that they would appoint you to what, in my mind, is one of the most important departments in the city has a lot to do, as Councilmember Gruhl said, with your managerial expertise, with your ability to get things done. And do you have a big job? As Councilmember Reyes said, in a city that's park poor, with a budget deficit as we're facing, we're going to have to do more with less. And you're the man to do it. So I congratulate you on this new move, this new challenge, and I look forward to great things.
Thank you.
Ms. Mizikowski.
Mr. Ludlow talked about the raving this morning. I think I'm just going to join in the chorus of ravers here at Council. A lot of people have already said what you have done, but let me just point out to the members here that, again, the Marvin Browdy San Fernando Valley Constituent Service Center is created today in large measure because General Services helped to step up to the plate. And what that shows is you can think large, you can think out of the box, and you can make things happen there, not only in partnership with private entities, and that's going to be just an interesting path ahead for Recreation and Parks, but when we call on our own staff, our own employees, they too can step up and match the best of the private industry in terms of what was done there on the interior of that building and the work that was done in terms of taking care of it. Just a couple of sort of heads up or suggestions. Having been a member of Budget and Finance Committee for about the last 6 years, it's been really, really hard to crack Rec and Parks budget, not just the general fund, which we do know we control, but there are a number of either revolving funds, revolving trust funds that are in sort of little pockets there that were never looked like they were seriously audited or seriously controlled. So hopefully in bringing that under some guidance, under some guidelines, I think it can also, when you say you're looking for help, that's a place for some help and assistance in terms of what we are doing as we ask some of our residents throughout the city to participate with us in helping to create something. Let's help that really come back and be revolving back into the benefit of the community and the parks. It's going to be an exciting time. Obviously, I think the department looks for stability, and I think there isn't a better tribute than the number of employees who are here today from, as you began your comments, with thanking the employees of the General Services Department today, because they are here to be with you. I don't think they feel they are losing you. They are feeling that they are joining with you in partnership to make Recreation and Parks Department what it can be in serving those important needs for the city. So thank you again for accepting it, and we look forward to a long General Manager reign.
Yes, I hope to.
Thank you, Ms. Misikowski. Other members wishing to be heard? If not, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Unanimous approval. Sigh of relief. Thank you very much, John. We expect great things. Colleagues, before proceeding to the next item, if you'll indulge me, colleagues, can I have your attention for a second here? We have a very important announcement. Didn't want to wait till the end of the meeting. Let me recognize and ask the camera to pan over to Councilmember Ludlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm usually not nervous to stand up here, but I'm nervous. I have butterflies right now, and I was going to try to write a whole speech, but I didn't have much time to do it because the announcement I'm going to make is that as of last night, I just got engaged to be married. Kimberly, come here, sweetheart. Kimberly, come over here, sweetheart. Right. Kimberly Blake and I last night decided that we were going to get married, and we're looking forward to this life together, and we just wanted to come in here and make a grand announcement. We literally thought about it 5 seconds ago. So anyway, she's good enough to allow me to do this. So thank you all. I appreciate you letting me interrupt for a small announcement. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations, Martin. Congratulations. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item number 27, called special by Councilmember Parks.
Mr. Parks, item 27.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, could I have the staff come up, please, on this item?
We have the department here for item 27.
A lot of pressure on Dennis. I think it was her fault, Dennis. Good morning. Many of the comments I'm going to make, we've passed on to you personally and also at the committee. But just for the record, for folks that look at Channel 35 and particularly ride the Dash bus in the 8th, 9th, and 10th District, one of the things that I think is important to, number one, commend the company that has been providing service for the last 5 years. They've done a remarkable job. The community certainly have seen the benefits of that increased service. In fact, in some instances, I understand it's gone up anywhere from 3 to 5 times where it was from 5 years ago. This transition, and I understand we're moving forward for the benefit of saving about $9 million. One of the things that I would like, and it's dealing with the process, is that I'm still concerned that as we talk about a $60+ million contract, that we have only 3 bidders that bid for it. And even at today's date in making this decision, that we really have no side-by-side comparison of 2 companies that bid on all 3 areas. There's a very convoluted process in which some have bid on 1 or 2 or all 3, so we really don't get a sense of side-by-side comparison. And I'd hope in the future, as we go forward and look to renewal of these contracts, that we have an ability to have a side-by-side analysis. Also, I'm a little concerned, and I don't know at this time where the $9 million savings is going to come from. When I look at the Connex's deal as it relates to looking at Area 1 and 3, and then I look at the deal that's compared by the other company for Areas 1, 2, and 3, I don't quite know how that's going to work out. And I would hope, and you've asked me to hold you responsible, that as we go forward, that these other areas are not going to lose the service, and that we can make a commitment to the community that we're not going to have a loss in service because we've now merged these 3 areas into one vendor. And I think that's my biggest concern, that we not lose ground. And I'm going to vote for this, but I am still concerned that, as the community has said over and over, we finally got something that works, and now we're going to change it. And I just want to make sure that you're keeping your eyes on it, that as we move forward, that Area 1 with those 3 council districts is going to get the same level of service. And as this company comes in and transitions, we know there's going to be some hiccups periodically, but we hope that we do not look up and have service loss because other areas of the city might have other problems. And I mentioned to you in our personal meeting the concern about whether we have a labor problem and what that may impact, because now the entire city's under one contract. So I'm going to vote for it, but I just wanted to make those comments publicly, and I'd hope as we look at the process 5 years from now, or if something occurs in the interim, that we clearly look at a way in which we can compare side-by-side bids, and that if we only have 3 bids in a process for this amount of money, that we may consider strongly going back out to bid. And so thank you.
Mr. Smith or Mr. Villaraigosa.
Yes, members, I dare say in the 6 months that I've been here, there have been few items as controversial as this one. We actually had 2 meetings of the Transportation Committee. I broke a record. We had run very efficient meetings and was very proud of that. And this was both times a 2-hour meeting, and much of the committee's agenda centered around this motion. I can tell you that we looked very closely at this issue. We scrubbed it, if you will, and after doing that, after examining the issue, after conferring with our staff, we felt this was the best proposal to go ahead. We also understand, as Councilmember Smith has mentioned, that to the extent that we can diversify our routes and make sure that not just one carrier has contracts for these routes, that's a good thing for Los Angeles. To the extent that smaller businesses can participate, that's also a very important goal and objective of the city. But very clearly, we would have lost somewhere, this would have cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 to $10 million. And given this budget deficit, this committee believed unanimously that we were constrained, and so we voted as we did. So I would urge your aye vote.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. President, I want to echo the words of the chairman, Mr. Villaraigosa. The committee really went into this in very strong detail, Mr. LaBonge and I, and we had a lot of questions, and a lot of concerns, and we heard very clearly from Councilmembers Parks and Perry their concerns about their district. At the end of the day, though, it became very clear in that while I had concerns about the contracts, I wanted to see more diversity, that I was not totally pleased with the way the process was done, that this was the best contract proposal that was brought forward by the staff. And as Mr. Villaraigosa said, the committee unanimously approved it. And so I want to just say to the staff, I want to thank them for arduously going through the questions we had. I know there were some troublesome questions. We really confronted you and made you explain in very minute detail the reasoning that you came to the conclusion that this was in fact the best contract. And at the end of the day, you convinced us that this was in fact the best RFP proposal that you selected. I hope you learned a lot from the process, that we had a lot of concerns for the next time that I think need to be addressed to make sure we do have, in fact, a larger base to choose from and a better base to choose from. But I just want to take this opportunity to thank the staff for working with us, for answering those questions, and diligently bringing to this council a really good RFP, the best RFP, and taking our concerns the next time when this is brought up. So thank you to the staff. And Mr. Tandem, please relay that to all your staff members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Other members wishing to be heard on item 27? If not, then Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 28 was called special by Councilmember LaBonge.
Mr. LaBonge.
Mr. President, members, this matter here is a recommendation, and I know our transportation people are still here, so I hope they stay on this as well. We all know that we built the transit system. Certain things I think we all could say unanimously weren't built all the way, and one of them was the case of the Green Line. The Green Line now stops way west of the Los Angeles International Airport. And on the several trips that I've taken out to the airport, the airfield, and looking at Imperial Highway, I just thought it was important that we, in this time for the future, because there's no money right now, call on the Green Line to go to the Los Angeles International Airport. Call on the Green Line and the Department of Transportation to work with other entities to provide access to the beach for Dockweiler Beach. This is the airport right here. West Imperial Highway is right here. And the Green Line stops well off this map. It should have access into the facility. And for whatever reason, it hasn't. And I would like to ask Mr. Tanda, would you be most appropriate to speak to this? Or Mr. Okazaki? James, thank you. James Okazaki, Assistant General Manager of the Department of Transportation. Green Line into LAX. Give us your view.
It was unfortunate at the time that the Green Line was built along the 105 corridor that there was not an agreement in a timely manner to have a direct connection to the LAX. There was some concerns from the Pilots Association and the FAA regarding safety of the alignment along aviation. However, as you point out, many major airports in the world have direct access with a mass transit system, and it would be unfortunate if we did not explore in Los Angeles a direct access. And so the department supports this motion to try to connect the Green Line and the rest of the regional rail system to the very large transportation facility, the airport here in Los Angeles.
Thank you, James. Members, I'm just thinking it's a statement we should make now in the long future, and it will be several years before anything could be done out there due to a funding cycle that we're in now, but the transit should go all the way in. And on the opposite end, too, and although this motion doesn't agree to it, the Green Line should go east from Norwalk through Orange County to connect with their lines in the future be built, so the regional system almost mirrors the system of freeways that we have now. So there's transit right next to freeways, and they go right into LAX. I just think it's real important when you arrive in London, if you go down the escalator, you get on the tube, and in 35 minutes you're at Gloucester Square or Piccadilly Circus on a tube, on a subway. The same should be true here in Los Angeles. If you arrive, you should be able to leave the terminal and go and find transit to immediately get you to where you need to get to in the region. I just greatly support this and ask for all your support. And I'd also like to ask Ms. Misikowski, who's been so diligent as overseeing this area of the city, if she would comment. We didn't have a chance to talk about this as the activities unfolded this morning, but this is an issue that I think is very important. I'm speaking to say vote yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ms. Misikowski.
Thank you for clarifying that, Tom. Obviously, it's right. I think from the moment that was built, and perhaps when it was built with so much influx at the LA World airports, it did stop, but it didn't stop with the intention of never going forward. And there's no question that as something will go forward or may go forward in the future, not only to LAX, but remember the Green Line at 105 can go all the way out to the beach. And that is not only the resource there of transportation to a major regional facility, but transportation by rail to an incredible asset. Dockweiler Beach is one of the more underutilized beach systems in our whole county and city system. Beautiful, wide, pristine, sandy beaches that can be incredibly accessed by a Green Line going forward. So actually the Green Line should have two spurs going all the way through. It makes a lot of sense, and we've got to continue using our transportation expertise to continue to push that, because even, if there are other systems it connects with east of LAX, as I say, it really deprives the people of this region, the people particularly on that southern corridor of the Green Line, access directly to the Pacific Ocean and the recreational facilities and the beach asset that is right there, that they would be denied if this doesn't extend. So it's got to go in both directions, and we need it done in terms of the planning, in terms of coordination and accommodating with whatever LAWA's plans are.
Thank you, Ms. Misikowski. Other members wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 43, call special for cards from the public, and there is an amending motion that I believe is in the process of being distributed.
Okay, let's take up item. Before we take up item 43, did we send item 14 forthwith? If not, let's do so, please. Bringing us to item number 43, an item which has not held public hearing. If we can set a 10-minute clock and hear from members of the public on item 43. Beginning with Genevieve Clarul, Christina Edwards, Hugo Pacheco, and Stephen Sarinana Lamson. I will call other speakers. If you can line up behind the podium, we'd appreciate it. Can we get the following individuals to line up behind the podium? Genevieve Clarul, Christina Edwards, Hugo Pacheco, and Stephen Sarinana Lamson. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Genevieve and Chris had to leave, so they won't be here.
Okay. Your name?
My name is Hugo Pacheco. I'm a resident of Lincoln Heights, and I've had some very disappointing news being delivered to me this morning by Tom LaBonge. I'm not a man of theatrics. I'm a man of my word. And I come in here and I remember on July the 8th, 2003, at a committee that was chaired by Councilman Weiss and attended by Councilman Parks, we were told that there was going to be an audit both by the City Administrative Office and the City Attorney's Office on an organization called the Wall Las Memorias. Now what we find out is that we're going to give this organization, which has not been audited, and has questions as to the way it's being run, especially by the County of Los Angeles in its report of 2002, where there were over 20 flagrant violations of their administration, that you're going to give them a third extension to go ahead and try to build this particular project. It's unfortunate that we come today and we find out that we're going to get a new general manager for the Department of Parks and Rec, that there is no money for the Department of Parks and Rec, and yet somehow this city found $150,000 of taxpayers' money to be given to this particular organization. I ask you, if you found out that a certain organization or charity was probably misusing your money by the county, would you give them any of your money? Would you give them any of your time? Then why are you doing it with our money? Thank you.
sir. Nana Lampson, to be followed by Mary Leos Pacheco and Joyce Dillard.
Good morning to all of you. This extension of the contract is another shell game being perpetuated, another joke that's being perpetuated upon this council. You ask yourself, one of the representatives for this organization a month ago said, the contract has never been signed. If the contract has never been signed, what are we extending? And yet, when you look at the general manager's report, it indicates that this construction is supposed to be completed by the 31st of December. That's never happened. Is that the contract we're extending here? The financial shell game that's being perpetuated on all of you is something you need to investigate. This idea that Councilman Weiss can request a financial audit of this organization now gets superseded by a motion by Councilman Labange is incredulous. This idea of the subcommittee, the Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Subcommittee, waiving the hearing of this motion is incredulous. You know, Councilman Reyes, we stood in your office and you talked about the process. And you said the process was here because of transparency and that we can all follow the process and have a framework to work with. And now you're asking that that process be circumvented. I asked this board, I asked you as a body to please allow the process to continue and do not allow this extension to happen until a full hearing has been engaged. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Mary Leos Pacheco.
The citizens, the taxpayers of Lincoln Heights asked that the City Council of the City of Los Angeles, their elected officials, respect their families, their children, their future by protecting their public park. The Lincoln Heights neighborhood people do not want the wall Las Memorias to build their memorial in their park. The wall Las Memorias contract to build at the park has expired and legally does not make sense to extend. We would like to have the audit, as was ordered, be completed and presented to the public. We would also like the city attorney's office to answer why a contract that has already expired with this group is being extended after its expiration date. The taxpayers of the City of Los Angeles need to be protected by you from questionable nonprofit organizations taking over parks. You say that we are park poor. Then why are you giving away our parks? Why are you giving away our existing parks by creating these mountains of open land? That's not what we want. We want our existing parks kept clear from nonprofit organizations and their intentions, whatever they may be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Dillard. Ms. Dillard, you're also here to speak on item 44. If you want to talk about both, please do.
Item 43, the Wall Loss Memorials. I was surprised to see this on the agenda. I was at that July 8th meeting. Yesterday, I asked Senator Hollingsworth's office to please help me with verifying when payments were made on the state contract. They have $400,000. He got back to me immediately. The California Arts Council a couple weeks before was giving me the runaround. So through a state senator, we got the answer very fast. They were entitled to $100,000. They got it January 2nd, 2001. But this is a contract in arrears. This really wasn't to be paid until construction started. And of course, as you know, the contract isn't signed, construction's not started. But they received a total of $360,000. And to my surprise, 2 payments in June of 2003. That means during the budget crisis, during everything, they received their money, but no one else did. A lot of programs have been cut in the city. The city's cash poor, the state's cash poor, but they received the money. This audit, when they, in July 8th meeting, they did not bring up the fact that they received the state money up front. $40,000 is still in reserve. According to our figures, the total cost of the memorial is approximated at $995. The Wall Loss Memorial has it more at $747,000. $995,000 I'm talking. According to our figures, city funds allocated are about 25%. According to their figures, it's 33%. Whatever percentage, it's very high. You have put in federal HUD money, that's Community Development Block Grant money for the homeless, for the low moderate income, and yet you do not want to do the due diligence to make sure this nonprofit is solvent. Most memorials and museums or other items that go through state budgets certainly do it because they have a great fundraising machine. Does this nonprofit have a machine at all, or are they just leaning on the taxpayer when we need funds now? We've asked Donna Ardwin's office for a state audit. Long before we found out this happened in June, we asked for it before because we knew something was irregular. It's irregular on the city side. You are stewards. You're supposed to be handling and protecting the taxpayer. It makes me want to believe, is this about all the AIDS money? Is this really just for a lobbying tool so you have a monument in the park so you can discuss AIDS for lobbying? Because your due diligence needs to come to fore here. This item needs to be kicked back to the committee. It needs a true audit, and this nonprofit needs to be analyzed whether they're solvent or not. Thank you.
Ma'am, did you want to speak on item 44
Yes,
while you're at the podium?
44 is regarding the destruction of obsolete records. I've been working with Todd Gaydowski to try and go through some of these old records, not only for items like this, because now we're looking at the city for all their land movements and all their parcel movements. Lincoln Park's been whittled over the years. Ascot Hills was 180 acres. It was planned in the 1930s. If you look at that city plan, as was Zelig Zoo, and now that's in nonprofit hands as part of our worry about Lincoln Park. We're looking at that. I'm also looking at it historically. As I started looking at some of the old records, I found really items of history that should not be destroyed. Everyone loves Hollywood. There's Hollywood items in there. I'm into genealogy. There's history. There's genealogical items. So I asked this be kicked back to committee because I'm reviewing to not only for the aspect of anything that touched any of the old land, but also to allocate records of value to the proper, whether it be universities or nonprofits. I know I've talked to Family History Center. There are some other libraries in the area that might want these records. I know Huntington would like railroad records. I ran across railroad records to be destroyed. So I'd like to have this kicked back to committee until the proper review can be done, and then those records that are really obsolete can be destroyed, and those of value that need to be farmed to the proper entities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment for both items 43 and 44. For discussion at this time, we do have item 43 before us. Mr. LaBonge.
Yeah, thank you. There's an amendment on this that has been circulated, also been circulated to the speakers who spoke, that this matter have a 90-day project completion deadline extended, and that the CAO be instructed to complete a fiscal review of the project within 30 days of its completion, so that the study should focus on the city funds that were used on part of this project. Members, as we know, in times of calendar times, different committee chairs chair certain matters. I was not the chair of this committee at the time, but I'm going to assume the responsibility to focus on this issue. And I would like to ask the class of 75 from Lincoln High to meet me, and I will ask Mr. Zaldivar, if you would, you and me and Mr. Zaldivar, and I'll ask him and have a discussion prior to this to get information out. I truly believe whatever your position is on public lands and whether you believe a building should be built, a monument should be built, a baseball field should be, a soccer field should be built, whatever, there's a process. And there's a process here that has taken place that has had a lot of public comment on it. But on this particular question, Mr. Reyes, I'd like to ask if I could, we'll meet with Mr. Zaldivar, and if you could represent the community and just one-on-one, and I'll meet with anybody at any time, but to go this here and try to further the information necessary because people feel uncomfortable about something that I know has checks and balances. So if that's okay, I ask for an aye vote on the amendment, and I thank all of you.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. First, I rise to thank my colleague, Councilmember Labange and Councilmember Weiss, for their stewardship in this process. Whenever you have a controversial project based on whatever beliefs one has, I truly believe that we are focused on what's on the greater good for the community. Councilman Lolo just shared with me today that LA County provided a report of the levels of hate crime that are out there. And the greatest levels of hate crime today are against the gay community. All this is about is information, education, a healthier community. Despite where you stand on that issue and how that's interpreted, as Mr. Labange has stated, the amendment today speaks to accountability. The amendment today speaks about knowing where the funds are going. And I appreciate him meeting with Mr. Zaldivar and community reps to make sure we understand how the resources are being used. There's nothing being hidden here. There's no pea in the pod game. It's about process and trying to make this project reach its completion date as efficiently as possible. Thank you.
Other members wishing to be heard on this item? If not, item 43 is currently before us.
Mr. President, do you wish to take the amendment up first, or do you wish to take them together?
Is there any objection to the amendment?
There's an aye vote.
Okay, let's consider the item as amended. Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that item as amended is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 44 was called special for cards from the public, and I believe the speaker has already...
Yeah, we've heard from our public comment on item 44. Members wishing to be heard on item 44. Mr. Labange.
If you'd like to just come forward real quick.
Okay, as they come forward, let me ask Madam Clerk to send item 43 forthwith.
Mr. Carey.
President, before we do this item, I'd like to ensure that item 16 and 52, 16 and item 52 are sent forthwith.
Okay, forthwith on 16 and 52. Mr. Labange.
Yeah, I just stood up here because I have been to the archives many times, and I have seen this old, obsolete records. If we kept every box of everything we had, we'd have boxes all the way around the world, I would bet. So, Mr. Carey, if you give us just a brief analysis, introduce your two great employees from the archives.
It's Todd Godowski, he's head of the archives. I actually don't know who this gentleman is. Basically, the city does have an historical records program, and literally we go through each box before it's destroyed with the department, the city attorney, and our staff, and pull those historical records that rise to a certain level. Mr. Labange, right now, there are boxes that are being stored off-site, not in the record center, that are costing the city $400,000 a year to store those records. We'd like to get them back inside. The failure to destroy records in a timely fashion obviously costs the city money. That's why because of the earthquake and some issues with the police department, we've literally been stopped from destroying records over the last couple of years. As those records sit in storage, it's going to be costly. So again, we do have an historical records program. It doesn't capture everything that might be important to a lot of people in the city, but we work with the LA Historical Society and obviously the departments to retain those records.
Thank you, Mr. Carey. Mr. Carey, I want to ask you a question, too, because everybody talks about staffing problems. I know sometimes when I work with the archives, you have volunteers there.
Correct.
Volunteers are there to help, to welcome you. I mean, to help you in any way possible. If someone was interested in, let's say they were researching things, they could look at. But at the same point, I think $400,000, I think all of us would rather spend $400,000 in our libraries or our parks with our police department as opposed to just storing those records somewhere. So I think this is something that's real important, and I ask for an aye vote, and I always trust the archivists because they look for the things that are so important to keep. It'd be nice to keep everything, but you can't. But this is an important process of government, and instead of saying destroying records, why don't you say you're recycling? Because, you know...
I'm recycling, Mr. LeBlanc.
Yeah, good. It's all become paper recycling. Thank you.
And again, let me comment. If people come to our facility and see stuff and it's not of value to us, we're not going to object, depending on what the record is, obviously, in turning those over to historical societies, correct.
The Southern California Historical Society, Tom Andrews up at right in your district, Ed, and also the Los Angeles Historical Society. There's a lot of good groups. Thank you.
Ms. Mizikowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support this as well. It's interesting. Last week or two, we had a planning department wanting to destroy some records, but we did look at what those records were and had some issues, and we sent it back to committee, and those were the land use records. And sometimes, I know I have gone back and, like Mr. Labange, been able to retrieve records from archives, and we do have records of cases, particularly some of the school and church cases, as we know around here, can get very interesting, that go back to the 1940s and 50s, and they are still relevant. And those records ought not to be destroyed, and those are not. Payroll records, timekeeping records, things like that are not of any utility after a few years after they've been kept for a reasonable period of time, and they do need and can be destroyed. If there is interest from somebody else, we always have the space open, the space available to look at, and again, as long as they're not sensitive about personnel records, there's no reason why they can't be given away. But the land use records, I think we have taken great care to keep and continue to keep, and it really does show an amazing war. And just to let everybody else on the council as well as the public know, those records are retrievable. They are available. They are a great resource, not only historically, but sometimes even for current cases. So those records that are of that value and importance are maintained and hopefully in good condition for as long as we can.
Thank you, Ms. Mizikowski. Other members wishing to be heard on this item? If not, ready for a vote? Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay. Next item, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Motion shall be posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Hahn requests to be excused Friday, March 19th for city business that meets council policy.
Ms. Hahn is excused.
Councilmember Mizikowski requests to be excused Friday, February 27th for city business that meets council policy.
Ms. Mizikowski is excused.
Councilmember Garcetti requests to be excused to arrive late Wednesday, February 4th for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Garcetti is excused.
Councilmember Zine requests to be excused Wednesday, February 25th for personal business that meets council policy.
Mr. Zine is excused.
Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused Tuesday, June 29th to arrive late for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Cardenas is excused.
And that clears the desk.
Thank you very much, colleagues. This is the end of our agenda. Do we have any announcements today? I don't know who can top Mr. Ludlow, but if there are other announcements today, Mr. Parks, I understand you had a good time in Houston and a productive meeting on Friday.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a very productive meeting with executives from the NFL that very impressed with the city's progress, the stadium design, and also the progress on the environmental impact. And so we left them with a couple of messages that, number one, we have a city that is really is moving behind this project, but it cannot last forever. And they need to, as they approach March, to be making some decisions that give some indication of what the NFL may be thinking. And so we're going to carry that over with a briefing at the Coliseum Commission on Wednesday, but moving forward to getting the NFL all information they need before the March meeting.
So thank you, Mr. Parks. I know that I haven't been there. It was a very effective meeting, I think, and I compliment you on pulling together yourself, myself, Assemblymember Mark Rudy Thomas, Supervisor Kanabi, and the commission staff to make that great impression. Colleagues, other announcements today? Mr. Labange.
Also in Houston, although I wasn't there, but they announced on Saturday 2 fellas who had some Los Angeles roots. Mr. Smith, I could ask you, you're the pride of Granada Hills High. Stand up and talk about John Elway. I'll talk about the other Los Angeles guy. John Elway, the great quarterback from Granada Hills High, was nominated and it will be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Led Granada Hills High School to the city championship in 1970 something or other. 77. And
My tenure at Kennedy High
Kennedy.
School, yes, but it was, I think, probably 78 or 79, one of the two.
78.
On his first vote.
On his first vote, and it was a great championship game, I believe, between San Fernando and Granada Hills at that period. There was some great rivalries there. But also, Bob Brown.
We had the running game, they had the passing game.
They had the passing game. Bob Brown was a member of the Los Angeles Rams when the Rams played in Los Angeles. Also will be inducted to the Hall of Fame. He was a 10-year veteran, played with the Philadelphia Eagles for many years, and then went on from here to play for the Oakland Raiders. But a very skilled blocker, and was one of the members, along with Barry Sanders, the great Detroit Lion, also made it to the Hall of Fame. Anyway, it was a great football game, but that's all. Everything else wasn't good. I didn't see that thing at the halftime. I just watched football.
Oh, no.
That dance or that band or whatever. Bye-bye.
Had to go there. He had to go there.
You shouldn't have brought it.
I know.
Other announcements?
I'm having a bad day.
No, that I'm going to scold you.
Ms. Miskowski for an announcement?
No, adjournment.
Okay. If there are no further announcements, would everybody please rise for adjourning motions? Adjourning motions. Mr. Labange.
Members, I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of M. Lewis Thompson. He retired in 1979, having served 40 years with the city of Los Angeles. He also was a member and manager of our police and fire pension system, having been involved with several city departments, including water and power, during his tenure. He relocated to Yucca Valley in the mid-'80s, where he was active in local water issues. He was a perennial attendee of the Stanford Homecoming and University programs, a graduate of Stanford, and he is survived by his daughter, Karen. I ask that we adjourn in memory of M. Lewis Thompson. And members, also in my district, we had a tragedy of a young death, Laura Sanandalan, who died in February 8th of cancer in Los Angeles. She was well known to parishioners of St. Brendan's Catholic Church as its youth coordinator, head of its high school confirmation coordination, and its mentor to many. Even though she survived several bouts of cancer, it was a tragedy that finally the dreaded disease took her life. She was a wonderful inspiration and a great role model for all the young people. She was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and graduated from UC Riverside. She went to the Philippines to study medicine in order to care for the poor there, but she came back to Los Angeles, and she was involved with St. Brendan's, where she got to where she touched the young people there. And a member of my staff attended her funeral at St. Brendan's last week, and there was an emotional outcry for someone who really touched people. So I ask that we adjourn in memory of this great parishioner of St. Brendan's.
Ms. Miskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to have the council adjourn in the memory of a real hero to Los Angeles, Joel Rubenstein, who died at the age of 67 on Sunday. He was a key aide to Peter Ueberroth during the Los Angeles Olympic Organizing Committee in 1984, and he also was one of the founders of the Baseball Assistance Team, which provided financial aid to former baseball players and employees who were in need, particularly those who had come up through the baseball systems before we had the kind of salaries and pensions and programs that they are now bargaining for. Joel actually died of lymphoma on Sunday night and had been suffering with this for a number of months, but he summoned up the strength actually to go last week to New York City, where he was honored by the baseball assistance team. Other honorees were the New York Yankees owner George Steinbrenner and Houston Astros pitcher Roger Clemens. He was in great spirits and got himself there, but he knew he was in physical poor health. He was instrumental to the success of the Olympics and its revolutionary corporate sponsorship and its profit. He was actually the chief protocol officer for the Olympics, so his job was to interact with an awful lot of people. And Peter Ueberroth said that when the Olympics went through some of its dark days, and we had started approaching that with the Olympic organizing team in the 70s, and then 1980, as we all remember, we had the boycott that President Carter put forward, and it was a very dark time for the LA Olympic Organizing Committee because there was fear that future Olympic Games would be canceled because of that split. And Joel was the one who told the organizing committee, no, let's just keep going and making friends around the world. And that friendship and that perseverance obviously was part of a huge success where not only were the games an economic success, but the games at that time drew a then record of 141 countries participating, including, I think for the first time in modern times, Romania and communist China. He then followed, as I said, Ueberroth to the baseball, the Major League Baseball, and set up this baseball assistance team. And actually, it has helped approximately. It started with $100,000 that Ueberroth gave as seed money, but because of their efforts, they have raised up to date $11.5 million to help approximately 1,700 former players, minor leaguers, scouts, trainers, umpires, and alumni of the Negro League. Again, providing some of the baseball benefits today to those who helped make the game what it is today, but didn't benefit from it. He was a no-nonsense guy, but when you knew when you worked with Joel, you were going to get something done. He was a native of Baltimore and is survived by his longtime companion, Julie Diller, sons Todd and Jeff Rubenstein, and 2 grandchildren. He will be much missed. His memorial service will be tomorrow at Hillside Memorial Park.
I think we should do all members on that.
All members. Other tributes? Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ask the council to adjourn in memory of a former elected official here from the city of Los Angeles. On January 24th, Roger Arnenberg, who was city attorney from 1953 through 1973, passed away. He is survived by his wife, Emily, his daughter and son-in-law, Pat and David Holt, granddaughter Candace, and grandson Derry. I think all council members will be appropriate.
I would like to be a second on that. I actually just served here with Roger Arnenberg as the city attorney.
Great.
Roger Arnenberg.
Other tributes? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.